What if I told you that sometimes the person who looks the most fragile is actually the strongest warrior in the room? What if the girl everyone sees as weak and broken has spent years training her body and mind to become an unstoppable force? Today's story is about Maya Chen, a 17-year-old cancer survivor who walked into Lincoln Valley High School wearing a beautiful wig that concealed not just her battle scars, but a secret that would change everything. These bullies thought they were targeting someone helpless, but they had no idea they were about to face someone who had fought death itself and won. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. By the end of this story, you'll understand why surviving cancer doesn't make you weak, it makes you unbreakable. The morning mist clung to the rolling hills of Riverside County, California, as Maya Chen stood before her bedroom mirror, carefully adjusting the auburn wig that had become as much a part of her daily routine as brushing her teeth. The synthetic strands fell in gentle waves past her shoulders, perfectly mimicking the hair she had lost during 18 months of chemotherapy treatments that had ended just 6 months ago. Her reflection showed a petite girl with delicate features and bright hazel eyes that held depths of experience far beyond her 17 years. To anyone who didn't know her story, Maya looked like any other high school senior preparing for another day of classes, friendships, and teenage concerns. The wig was a masterpiece of modern craftsmanship, custom-made to match the exact color and texture of her natural hair that had once been her pride and joy. Her mother, Dr. Susan Chen, a respected pediatric oncologist at Riverside Medical Center, had insisted on the best money could buy when Maya expressed her desire to return to a normal high school experience after completing her treatments through the hospital's homeschool program. The decision to attend Lincoln Valley High School for her senior year had been Maya's own, driven by a fierce determination to reclaim the teenage experiences that cancer had stolen from her during what should have been the most formative years of her life. Maya's bedroom reflected the duality of her existence, with medical equipment that had once been necessary for her survival now stored in the closet alongside typical teenage belongings. The IV pole that had been her constant companion for months stood folded against the wall next to posters of her favorite K-pop groups and inspirational quotes about strength and perseverance. Her desk held both college application materials and a collection of journals documenting her cancer journey, filled with thoughts and fears that she had worked through during the darkest periods of her treatment. The decision to wear the wig wasn't born from vanity or shame about her appearance, but from a practical understanding of teenage social dynamics and her desire to control how much attention her medical history would attract. Maya's natural hair had begun growing back in soft, downy patches that were still too short and uneven to style conventionally. More importantly, the wig allowed her to choose when and how to share her story, rather than having her cancer survival become the defining characteristic that others saw first and sometimes only. Her father, Dr. James Chen, a biomechanical engineer who had taken a leave of absence during her most intensive treatment periods, had returned to his research work at the university, but remained deeply involved in supporting Maya's transition back to normal teenage life. The Chen family had always valued education, achievement, and perseverance, but Maya's cancer diagnosis had taught them lessons about strength and resilience that no textbook could provide. Their support for her decision to attend public high school came with the understanding that she would face challenges and potential discrimination, but also with confidence in the inner strength she had developed through her medical journey. The morning routine that Maya followed was more complex than that of typical teenagers, involving medications that would continue for several more years, and careful attention to signs of fatigue or illness that might indicate complications. Her immune system, while recovering well, remained more vulnerable than those of her peers, requiring her to be cautious about exposure to infections and to maintain the excellent physical condition she had worked so hard to rebuild after the devastating effects of chemotherapy on her body. Maya's relationship with physical fitness had been transformed by her cancer experience, from casual teenage interest into serious commitment to rebuilding and maintaining her health. During the long months of treatment, when walking to the bathroom had been an exhausting effort, she had promised herself that if she survived, she would never again take her body's capabilities for granted. The kickboxing classes she had begun during her recovery period were initially recommended by her medical team as a way to rebuild muscle mass and bone density, but they had quickly become much more than physical therapy. The martial arts studio where Maya trained 3 times per week was located in a converted warehouse on the outskirts of town, frequented by serious athletes, law enforcement officers, and military personnel rather than casual fitness enthusiasts. Master Rodriguez, a former professional fighter who had opened the studio after retiring from competition, had initially been skeptical about training a teenage cancer survivor, concerned about potential liability and the physical demands of his program. However, Maya's determination and her mother's medical expertise had convinced him to give her a chance, leading to a training relationship that had exceeded everyone's expectations. Maya's training regimen was carefully designed around her medical needs and recovery timeline, but it was no less intensive than that of Master Rodriguez's other serious students. Her natural athleticism, combined with the mental toughness developed through cancer treatment, had made her an exceptional student who progressed rapidly through the fundamental techniques and conditioning exercises. The discipline required for kickboxing appealed to someone who had learned to break down overwhelming challenges into manageable daily goals, a skill that had been essential for surviving her medical treatment. The physical benefits of her training were obvious in Maya's improved strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular health, but the psychological benefits were equally important for someone preparing to navigate the social challenges of high school as a cancer survivor. The confidence that came from knowing she could defend herself provided security that went beyond physical safety, helping her feel more prepared to handle whatever social or emotional challenges she might encounter in her new environment. Master Rodriguez had been impressed not only by Maya's technical progress, but by her attitude toward training and competition. Unlike many teenage students who were motivated primarily by the desire to look tough or impressive, Maya approached martial arts with the seriousness of someone who understood that physical and mental strength could be matters of survival. Her sparring sessions with other students, carefully supervised to account for her medical history, revealed a fighter's instinct that surprised everyone who had assumed her petite appearance and medical background would make her tentative or overly cautious. The morning of her first day at Lincoln Valley High School, Maya completed her usual pre-dawn workout routine in the garage that her father had converted into a home gym. The heavy bag that hung from reinforced ceiling beams bore the marks of thousands of kicks and punches delivered over months of training, each impact representing not just physical exercise but a declaration of her refusal to be defined by her illness. Her workout clothes were soaked with sweat by the time she finished her routine, evidence of the intensity she brought to every training session. Lincoln Valley High School was a sprawling, modern campus that served the affluent suburbs east of Riverside, where technology industry executives and medical professionals had built homes designed to showcase their success and provide their children with every educational advantage. The student parking lot was filled with luxury vehicles that cost more than many people's annual salaries, reflecting the economic privilege that characterized much of the student body. For Maya, whose family's financial resources had been significantly impacted by medical expenses not covered by insurance, the displays of wealth were intimidating reminders of the social gaps she would need to navigate. The school's academic reputation was built on high standardized test scores, impressive college acceptance rates, and a culture of competition that extended beyond the classroom into every aspect of student life. Teachers were accustomed to dealing with highly motivated students from families that valued achievement, but they were less experienced with students who had faced serious medical challenges or who came from backgrounds that differed significantly from the suburban norm. Maya's academic record, disrupted by months of medical treatment, would require explanation and accommodation that might not be readily understood or accepted. Maya's decision to keep her medical history private, at least initially, was motivated by her desire to be seen as a normal teenager, rather than as an object of pity or inspiration. Her experience with well-meaning but uncomfortable reactions from adults who learned about her cancer diagnosis had taught her that people often didn't know how to respond appropriately, leading to awkward conversations and unwanted attention that made normal social interaction difficult. The wig allowed her to control the narrative and choose when and with whom to share her story. The first period biology class where Maya found herself on that September morning was taught by Mrs. Patterson, a veteran educator who prided herself on maintaining high standards while supporting students through the challenges of advanced coursework. The classroom was equipped with state-of-the-art laboratory equipment and technology that reflected the district's commitment to preparing students for careers in science and medicine. Maya's interest in biology had been intensified by her personal experience with cancer treatment, giving her insights into cellular biology and medical procedures that few of her classmates could match. Maya chose a seat in the middle of the classroom, close enough to participate actively but not so prominent as to draw unnecessary attention to herself as the new student. Her backpack contained the same supplies as any other serious student, but also included medical information cards and emergency contact numbers that reflected her ongoing health considerations. The normalcy of sharpening pencils and organizing notebooks felt precious to someone who had spent so many months in hospital rooms where academic concerns seemed impossibly remote. The other students in the biology class represented the social spectrum of Lincoln Valley High School, from academically focused future pre-med students to athletically gifted teenagers whose parents hoped that sports scholarships would compensate for average grades.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
Maya observed their interactions with the analytical skills that cancer treatment had forced her to develop, noting the subtle hierarchies and alliance patterns that would determine much of her social experience over the coming months. Among her classmates was Jessica Torres, whose family had moved to Lincoln Valley when her father was promoted to an executive position at a major technology company. Jessica's perfectly styled blonde hair and designer clothes marked her as someone who had quickly adapted to the social expectations of her affluent new environment, but Maya noticed signs of insecurity that suggested the transition hadn't been entirely smooth. The expensive handbag and jewelry that Jessica displayed seemed calculated to demonstrate her family's financial status, rather than reflecting genuine personal style. Also in the class was Michael Park, whose academic achievements had earned him recognition as one of the school's most promising future valedictorians. His focus on his studies was intense and somewhat isolating, creating the impression of someone who had sacrificed social development for academic success. Maya recognized in Michael's dedication something similar to her own single-minded focus during medical treatment, though directed toward very different goals. The social dynamics that Maya observed during her first class were typical of competitive academic environments, where students felt pressure to distinguish themselves through achievement, appearance, or social connections. The underlying tension was palpable as teenagers navigated the complex balance between collaboration and competition that characterized advanced coursework in elite schools. Maya's outsider perspective allowed her to see patterns that students who had grown up in this environment might take for granted. During the transition between first and second periods, Maya experienced her first real taste of Lincoln Valley High School's social atmosphere. The hallways were wide and well lit, lined with trophy cases and displays celebrating student achievements in academics, athletics, and the arts. The noise level was substantial as hundreds of students moved between classes, their conversations creating a constant buzz of teenage social interaction that included everything from academic discussions to gossip about weekend parties and relationship drama. Maya's careful navigation through the crowded hallways was complicated by her need to protect her wig from accidental contact that might dislodge it or reveal its artificial nature. The anxiety she felt about this vulnerability was manageable but constant, adding a layer of stress to routine activities that other students took for granted. Her heightened awareness of potential threats to her disguise made her more observant of her surroundings and the people around her, skills that would prove valuable in ways she couldn't yet anticipate. The second period American history class was held in a room decorated with maps, historical documents, and motivational posters designed to inspire students to engage with the subject matter. Mr. Thompson, the teacher, was known for his passionate lectures and his ability to connect historical events with contemporary issues, making his classes popular among students who appreciated dynamic teaching styles. Maya's interest in history had been sparked during her medical treatment by reading about how people in different eras had faced challenges and adversity. Finding inspiration in stories of resilience and survival, Maya's assigned seat in the history classroom placed her near a group of students whose behavior patterns quickly became apparent through their interactions and comments. Among them was Brandon Walsh, whose athletic build and confident demeanor marked him as someone accustomed to social dominance and physical intimidation. His letter jacket identified him as a member of the school's championship wrestling team, and his interactions with other students revealed the casual cruelty that often accompanied positions of power in teenage social hierarchies. Seated near Brandon was Ashley Morrison, whose role as a leader among the popular girls was evident in the way other students sought her approval and attention. Her perfectly applied makeup and carefully styled hair reflected the time and effort required to maintain her position in the school's social elite. But Maya noticed signs of the stress and insecurity that often accompanied such roles. The sharp comments Ashley made about other students' appearances and choices suggested someone who maintained her own status partly by diminishing others. Also part of this social circle was Ryan Foster, whose family's prominent position in the community provided him with a sense of entitlement that was evident in his interactions with teachers and classmates. His expensive clothing and accessories were casual displays of wealth that reinforced his social position, while his academic performance was sufficient to avoid serious consequences but not impressive enough to earn genuine respect. Maya observed that Ryan's confidence seemed to depend heavily on external validation and the support of his social group. The dynamics between these students revealed a complex system of mutual dependence and competition that maintained their collective dominance, while creating internal tensions that could potentially be exploited by those who understood the underlying weaknesses. Maya's experience with group dynamics in medical settings, where cooperation and mutual support were essential for survival, provided her with perspective on the artificial and fragile nature of high school social hierarchies. During the history class discussion about resilience during the Great Depression, Maya found herself wanting to contribute insights based on her personal experience with overcoming challenges, but she hesitated to speak up in ways that might reveal too much about her background. The parallels between historical examples of perseverance and her own recent experiences were striking, but sharing them would require disclosing information about her medical history that she wasn't ready to reveal to her new classmates. The lunch period at Lincoln Valley High School was a social minefield that required careful navigation for any student hoping to avoid unwanted attention or conflict. The cafeteria was a vast space filled with round tables that could seat 8 students each, creating natural groupings that reflected and reinforced the school's social hierarchies. The food service area offered multiple options ranging from standard cafeteria fare to premium selections that catered to students with sophisticated palates and substantial disposable income. Maya chose her lunch carefully, selecting items that would provide the nutrition her recovering body needed while avoiding foods that might cause digestive issues related to her ongoing medical treatment. Her dietary restrictions were subtle but important, requiring attention to details that other students never needed to consider. The medications she took with her meals were disguised as vitamins to avoid questions about her health status that she wasn't prepared to answer. The table where Maya chose to sit was located near the windows that provided natural light and a view of the school's landscaped courtyard, but far enough from the popular students area to avoid immediate social pressures. Her position allowed her to observe the cafeteria's social dynamics while maintaining the anonymity she preferred during her adjustment period. The conversation she overheard ranged from academic concerns about upcoming tests to social planning for weekend activities that reflected the privileged lifestyle of many Lincoln Valley students. Maya's attention was drawn to a table where several students were engaged in what appeared to be a heated discussion about an upcoming school dance. The conversation revealed the complex planning and social calculation that went into teenage social events, including concerns about dates, dresses, transportation, and the countless details that could determine whether such events were socially successful or embarrassing disasters. For Maya, who had missed most typical teenage experiences during her medical treatment, these concerns seemed both foreign and fascinating. The social dynamics Maya observed during lunch reinforced her understanding of Lincoln Valley High School's competitive environment, where students constantly evaluated each other based on appearance, social connections, academic performance, and family status. The pressure to maintain or improve one's position in these hierarchies was evident in the carefully calculated interactions between students from different social groups, each encounter carrying potential consequences for future relationships and opportunities. Maya's training in martial arts had taught her to observe potential threats and assess situations for signs of developing conflict, skills that proved relevant in the social environment of high school. The aggressive posturing and territorial behavior she witnessed among certain groups of students reminded her of the dominance displays she had seen in nature documentaries, though the stakes here involved social status rather than physical survival. Her ability to recognize these patterns gave her advantages in navigating potential conflicts before they escalated. The afternoon classes passed without major incident, allowing Maya to continue her observation and assessment of her new environment while beginning to understand the academic expectations and social norms that would shape her senior year experience. Her teachers seemed competent and dedicated, though their experience with students who had faced serious medical challenges was limited. Maya made mental notes about which teachers might be more understanding and supportive if she needed accommodations or assistance related to her health status. The final period of the day was Advanced Placement Chemistry, a course that Maya had specifically requested because of her interest in the molecular biology aspects of cancer research. Her personal experience with chemotherapy had given her insights into how chemical compounds could be used to target specific cellular processes, knowledge that complemented the theoretical understanding she gained through formal education. The laboratory work required for the course would provide hands-on experience with techniques and equipment similar to those used in medical research. Dr. Martinez, the chemistry teacher, was known for maintaining high standards while providing the support and guidance necessary for students to succeed in college-level coursework. Her background included both industry experience and advanced degrees in chemical education, making her particularly effective at connecting theoretical concepts with practical applications. Maya's enrollment in the course had required special permission due to her disrupted academic record, but her standardized test scores and demonstrated interest in the subject had convinced the administration to make an exception. Maya's laboratory partner was assigned randomly, pairing her with David Kim, whose quiet demeanor and careful attention to detail made him an ideal collaborator for someone who needed to be cautious about exposure to potentially harmful chemicals. David's academic focus and serious approach to his studies created a comfortable working relationship that allowed Maya to concentrate on the coursework without worrying about social complications or unwanted personal questions. The chemistry laboratory was equipped with modern instrumentation and safety equipment that reminded Maya of the medical facilities where she had received treatment, though the purposes were very different. Her familiarity with laboratory procedures and safety protocols, gained through extensive exposure to medical testing and treatment procedures, gave her advantages in adapting to the academic laboratory environment. The precision and attention to detail required for both medical treatment and chemical experimentation were remarkably similar. During the laboratory exercise, Maya's careful technique and thorough understanding of the underlying chemical principles impressed both her partner and Dr. Martinez, who made note of her exceptional preparation and skill level. Her questions about the biological applications of the chemical reactions they were studying revealed depth of knowledge that was unusual for someone her age, though she was careful not to reveal the source of her expertise in medical chemistry and pharmacology. The dismissal bell that ended the school day was followed by the usual chaos of hundreds of students gathering belongings, comparing notes about homework assignments, and making plans for after-school activities. Maya's transition from the controlled environment of the chemistry laboratory to the crowded hallways required a mental adjustment as she shifted from academic focus to social awareness and the need to protect her disguise while navigating the crowds. Maya's locker was located in a section of the school that was convenient to most of her classrooms, but also heavily trafficked by students involved in athletics and other extracurricular activities. The combination lock that secured her belongings was set to numbers that held personal significance related to important dates in her medical treatment, a private reminder of how far she had come in her recovery journey. The contents of her locker were carefully organized to maximize efficiency while maintaining the privacy of medical supplies and information. The walk to her car after school provided Maya with an opportunity to reflect on her first day at Lincoln Valley High School and to process the observations and impressions she had gathered throughout the day. Her small, reliable sedan was a practical choice that reflected her family's current financial priorities, standing out among the luxury vehicles that filled the student parking lot. The contrast didn't bother Maya, whose perspective on material possessions had been fundamentally altered by her experience with life-threatening illness. Maya's drive home took her through the affluent neighborhoods that surrounded Lincoln Valley High School, where large houses and manicured lawns reflected the economic success of families whose children attended the school. The displays of wealth were impressive but also somewhat intimidating for someone whose family had faced significant financial stress due to medical expenses. Maya's appreciation for her recovery and survival made such material concerns seem relatively unimportant, though she understood their significance in the social environment she was entering. The Chen family home was a modest but comfortable two-story house in an older neighborhood that had been chosen for its proximity to both the hospital and Dr. Chen's university research facility. The house reflected the family's academic values and practical priorities, with extensive bookshelves, a home office equipped for medical research, and the garage gym where Maya continued her physical training. The medical equipment that had once dominated the living spaces had been removed or relocated, allowing the house to feel more like a normal family home. Maya's parents were waiting to hear about her first day at Lincoln Valley High School, their concern and support evident in their careful questions and attention to her responses. Dr. Susan Chen's medical expertise allowed her to assess Maya's physical and emotional state with professional skill, while Dr. James Chen's engineering background made him naturally analytical about the social and logistical challenges his daughter might face. Their support was unwavering, but both parents struggled with the balance between protection and independence that Maya needed for her continued recovery. The family dinner conversation that evening covered Maya's impressions of her teachers, classmates, and the overall school environment, with particular attention to any signs of discrimination or difficulty that might require intervention or support. Maya was honest about the social complexities she had observed, while reassuring her parents that she felt confident in her ability to navigate the challenges ahead. Her martial arts training and the mental toughness developed through medical treatment had prepared her for difficulties that most teenagers never faced. Maya's evening routine included time for homework, physical exercise, and the reflection journaling that had been an important part of her recovery process. Her academic assignments were manageable given her strong preparation and study skills, but they required careful time management to accommodate her medical needs and training schedule. The balance between academic achievement, physical health, and social integration would be an ongoing challenge throughout her senior year. The meditation and breathing exercises that concluded Maya's day were techniques she had learned during chemotherapy to manage anxiety, nausea, and pain. These practices had evolved into tools for maintaining mental clarity and emotional balance that served her well in academic and social situations. As she prepared for sleep, Maya felt cautiously optimistic about her return to normal teenage life, though she remained alert to potential challenges that might test her hard-won strength and resilience. The morning of Maya's second day at Lincoln Valley High School began with the same careful preparation routine, but with slightly less anxiety about the unknown challenges ahead. Her first day had provided valuable intelligence about the social landscape and academic expectations she would need to navigate throughout the semester. The confidence she felt was built on realistic assessment of both opportunities and potential problems, rather than naive optimism about avoiding difficulties entirely. Maya's approach to her second day included more deliberate efforts to engage with her classmates and teachers, while maintaining the privacy about her medical history that she deemed necessary for her social integration. Her strategy involved careful observation of social cues and gradual participation in classroom discussions and group activities that would help her establish relationships without revealing information she wasn't ready to share. The biology class that began her day included a laboratory exercise that required students to work in pairs on a microscopy project examining cellular structures. Maya's partner assignment paired her with Jessica Torres, the girl she had noticed on the first day whose expensive clothing and uncertain social position had caught her attention. The partnership provided an opportunity for Maya to begin building relationships with her classmates while demonstrating her academic capabilities. Jessica's initial reaction to being paired with the quiet new girl was polite but somewhat distant, reflecting her own insecurities about her position in the school's social hierarchy. However, as they worked together on the laboratory exercise, Jessica began to appreciate Maya's knowledge and careful technique, leading to more genuine conversation about their shared academic interests and goals. The connection was tentative but promising, suggesting the possibility of friendship based on mutual respect rather than social calculation. Maya's careful handling of the microscope and her detailed observations of cellular structures impressed both Jessica and Mrs. Patterson, who made note of her exceptional preparation and skill level. Her questions about cellular biology and her insights into cellular processes revealed depth of knowledge that was unusual for someone her age, though she attributed her expertise to extensive independent reading rather than personal medical experience. The social dynamics Maya observed during her second day at Lincoln Valley High School confirmed many of her initial impressions, while revealing additional layers of complexity in the relationships between different student groups. The competitive atmosphere was pervasive, but not uniformly hostile, with opportunities for collaboration and mutual support among students who shared academic interests or personal values. Maya began to identify potential allies and friends while remaining cautious about students whose behavior suggested they might become problems. During the transition between classes, Maya encountered her first direct social challenge when Ashley Morrison made a comment about her interesting fashion choices, clearly intending to establish social dominance through subtle criticism. Maya's response was polite but confident, neither defensive nor aggressive, demonstrating the social skills she had developed through interactions with medical staff and other patients during her treatment. The exchange was brief but significant, establishing that Maya would not be easily intimidated or manipulated. The American history class provided Maya with an opportunity to contribute to discussions about resilience and survival during historical crises, drawing on her personal experience without revealing specific details about her medical background. Her insights about how people find strength during difficult times impressed both Mr. Thompson and her classmates, establishing her as someone with valuable perspectives to contribute to class discussions. The academic respect she gained through these contributions provided a foundation for social acceptance that was based on substance rather than superficial characteristics. Maya's growing confidence in her ability to navigate Lincoln Valley High School's social environment was tempered by her awareness that she had not yet faced any serious challenges to her privacy or safety. The students who might pose threats to her well-being had not yet focused their attention on her, and her careful behavior had avoided drawing unwanted scrutiny from those who might be inclined to target someone they perceived as different or vulnerable. The lunch period of Maya's second day provided another opportunity to observe social dynamics while continuing to establish her position in the school's complex hierarchy. Her choice of seating remained strategic, allowing her to monitor potential threats while engaging in conversations with students who seemed genuinely interested in friendship rather than social exploitation. The relationships she was beginning to build were tentative, but showed promise for developing into the support network she would need throughout her senior year. Maya's afternoon classes proceeded smoothly, with her academic performance continuing to impress teachers and earn the respect of classmates who valued intellectual achievement. Her careful balance of participation and privacy allowed her to contribute meaningfully to class discussions while avoiding topics that might lead to unwanted questions about her background or experiences. The strategy was working well, but Maya remained alert to signs that her situation might be changing in ways that could threaten her carefully maintained anonymity. The turning point came during Maya's third week at Lincoln Valley High School, when the delicate balance she had maintained between academic excellence and social invisibility began to shift in ways that would ultimately threaten everything she had worked to protect. Her careful strategy of engaging meaningfully with coursework while avoiding personal revelations had been successful in establishing her as a serious student worthy of respect. But it had also begun to attract attention from quarters where anonymity would have been safer. Brandon Walsh had been observing Maya's interactions with other students and her performance in classes they shared, his wrestler's instinct for identifying weakness making him curious about the new girl who seemed confident yet somehow fragile. His experience in targeting students who appeared vulnerable had taught him to look for signs of insecurity or hidden shame that could be exploited for his entertainment and social advantage. Maya's careful composure and reluctance to share personal information triggered his predatory instincts in ways that made her a potential target for the kind of systematic harassment that had driven other students to transfer schools or drop out entirely. Ashley Morrison had noticed Maya's growing acceptance among academically focused students and her ability to contribute insights that impressed teachers and earned respect from classmates. This development threatened Ashley's position as the undisputed queen of students who combined academic achievement with social dominance, creating a rivalry that Ashley was determined to resolve in her favor. Before Maya could establish herself as a legitimate competitor for leadership positions and social influence, Ryan Foster's attention had been drawn to Maya by her obvious intelligence and the mystery surrounding her background, qualities that made her an interesting challenge for someone whose sense of self-worth depended on his ability to charm and manipulate others. His assumption that every girl could eventually be won over by his family's wealth and his own considerable social skills made Maya's polite but distant responses to his attempts at flirtation particularly frustrating and intriguing. The confluence of these three personalities focusing their attention on Maya created a dangerous situation that she sensed but couldn't yet fully understand. Her experience with group dynamics in medical settings had taught her to recognize when alliances were forming against her, but the social rules of high school were sufficiently different from hospital environments that she couldn't predict exactly how threats might materialize or what form they might take. Maya's growing friendship with Jessica Torres had provided her with valuable intelligence about Lincoln Valley High School's social landscape, including warnings about students to avoid and insights into the power structures that govern teenage interactions. Jessica's own experience as a relative newcomer to the school's elite circles made her particularly aware of the subtle signs that indicated when someone was being targeted for harassment or exclusion. During a lunch conversation in late September, Jessica shared her observations about the increased attention Maya was receiving from Brandon's group, expressing concern about patterns she had seen directed toward other students who had eventually been driven from the school through systematic bullying campaigns. Her warnings were specific and detailed, based on careful observation of tactics that had been used successfully against previous targets. Maya listened to Jessica's concerns with the analytical mindset that medical treatment had taught her to apply to threatening situations. Her training in kickboxing had included education about conflict escalation and the importance of recognizing danger signs before situations became unmanageable. The combination of Jessica's intelligence about social threats and Maya's own observational skills created a clear picture of developing problems that would require careful handling to avoid serious consequences. The first direct confrontation occurred on a Friday afternoon in early October, when Maya was leaving the chemistry laboratory after completing an advanced synthesis project that had kept her working later than usual. The hallways were mostly empty except for students involved in after-school activities, creating an environment where harassment could occur without immediate adult supervision or peer intervention. Brandon Walsh intercepted Maya near her locker, positioning himself to block her path while maintaining the appearance of casual conversation that would provide plausible deniability if questioned by authorities. His opening approach was superficially friendly, asking about her chemistry project and expressing interest in her academic achievements. But Maya's trained awareness of threat indicators immediately recognized the underlying aggression in his posture and tone. Ashley Morrison and Ryan Foster appeared within moments, their timing too precise to be coincidental, creating a triangulated formation that surrounded Maya while maintaining enough distance to avoid appearing obviously threatening. Their coordination suggested careful planning and previous experience with similar confrontations, confirming Jessica's warnings about their systematic approach to targeting students they deemed worthy of harassment. The conversation began with seemingly innocent questions about Maya's background and family, designed to probe for information that could be used against her while establishing the group's dominance through invasive personal inquiry. Maya's responses were polite but minimal, providing no useful intelligence while demonstrating that she would not be easily intimidated by their initial approach. Brandon's frustration with Maya's composure became evident as his questions became more pointed and personal, pressing for details about her previous school experience and the reasons her family had moved to Lincoln Valley. His assumption that every student had secrets or vulnerabilities that could be discovered and exploited made Maya's privacy particularly challenging to his sense of control and predictability. Ashley's contribution to the interrogation focused on Maya's appearance and social connections, with particular attention to her hair and clothing choices that Ashley claimed showed poor understanding of Lincoln Valley's social expectations. Her comments were designed to undermine Maya's confidence while establishing criteria for acceptance that Ashley herself controlled, a tactic that had proven effective against other students who lacked strong self-image or family support. Ryan's approach involved attempts at false friendship and romantic interest, offering to include Maya in social activities and exclusive gatherings that would require her to reveal personal information and submit to the group's evaluation and approval. His strategy relied on the assumption that most teenage girls were desperate for social acceptance and would compromise their privacy and dignity for inclusion in elite social circles. Maya's response to their coordinated pressure campaign drew on both her medical experience with managing stress and her martial arts training in maintaining composure under threat. Her breathing remained controlled, her posture stayed confident, and her verbal responses provided no openings for escalation while clearly communicating that she would not be manipulated or intimidated by their tactics. The conversation continued for nearly 15 minutes, with each member of the group attempting different approaches to breaking down Maya's defenses and extracting the information or submission they sought. Their frustration grew as Maya consistently deflected their probes while maintaining perfect politeness that prevented them from justifying more aggressive tactics. Maya's decision to end the confrontation came when she recognized that the group was becoming increasingly agitated by their lack of success and might escalate to physical intimidation or harassment that would be more difficult to handle diplomatically. Her excuse for leaving was academically legitimate, referencing a tutoring appointment that would explain her departure while avoiding any appearance of retreat or weakness. The aftermath of the first confrontation left Maya with mixed feelings about her performance and concerns about future encounters with Brandon's group. Her successful defense of her privacy and dignity had been achieved without revealing her capabilities or background, but she understood that their failure to intimidate her would likely result in more aggressive future attempts to establish dominance and extract information. Maya's discussion of the incident with her parents that evening was carefully balanced between keeping them informed about potential safety concerns and avoiding unnecessary alarm that might prompt interventions that could complicate her social situation. Her parents' medical and engineering backgrounds made them naturally analytical about problem solving, but their protective instincts sometimes conflicted with Maya's need for independence and normal teenage experiences. Dr. Susan Chen's response to Maya's account of the confrontation reflected her professional understanding of psychological manipulation and group dynamics, combined with her personal concern for her daughter's safety and emotional well-being. Her suggestions for handling future encounters drew on both psychological research and her own experience with difficult personalities in medical settings. Dr. James Chen's engineering approach to the situation involved systematic analysis of the threat patterns and development of strategies for avoiding or managing future confrontations. His suggestions included practical measures for improving Maya's security and communication systems that would allow for rapid assistance if situations became dangerous. Maya's appreciation for her parents' support was balanced by her determination to handle the situation herself whenever possible, using the strength and skills she had developed through her medical and martial arts experiences. Her confidence in her ability to protect herself was based on realistic assessment of her capabilities rather than teenage bravado, making her judgments about risk and response more reliable than those of typical students. The weekend following her first direct confrontation with Brandon's group provided Maya with time to process the experience and prepare strategies for handling future encounters. Her training sessions at Master Rodriguez's studio took on new urgency as she focused on techniques that might be relevant for defending herself in school environments where serious violence was unlikely, but psychological and physical intimidation were common. Master Rodriguez's response to Maya's account of the confrontation was pragmatic and educational, focusing on conflict de-escalation techniques and situational awareness that would help her avoid dangerous situations while maintaining her ability to defend herself if avoidance became impossible. His experience with training law enforcement and military personnel had taught him the importance of graduated responses that matched threat levels appropriately. Maya's training that weekend included specific scenarios designed to prepare her for the kinds of harassment and intimidation tactics commonly used by high school bullies. The exercises focused on maintaining composure under psychological pressure, recognizing escalation patterns, and responding proportionally to different levels of threat, while preserving options for further response if situations deteriorated. The mental aspects of Maya's training were as important as the physical techniques, requiring her to develop emotional regulation skills that would allow her to remain calm and analytical even when facing personal attacks or threats. Her experience with managing fear and stress during medical treatment provided a foundation for these skills, but the social dynamics of teenage confrontation required additional preparation and practice. Maya's return to school the following Monday was marked by increased vigilance and awareness of her surroundings, particularly during transitions between classes and other times when she might be isolated or vulnerable to harassment. Her strategy involved maintaining normal routines while staying alert to signs that Brandon's group was planning further confrontations or escalating their campaign against her. The chemistry class that began Maya's week included a major laboratory project that required extended collaboration with David Kim, her assigned partner whose quiet competence and academic focus had made their working relationship both productive and comfortable. David's observations about social dynamics at Lincoln Valley High School were limited but valuable, particularly his insights into which teachers were most likely to intervene effectively if students reported harassment or threats. David's warnings about Brandon Walsh were based on personal experience, as he had been targeted during his sophomore year for his academic achievements and perceived social weaknesses. His survival of that campaign had been achieved through a combination of academic excellence that made him valuable to teachers, strategic alliances with other targeted students, and careful avoidance of situations where harassment could escalate to physical confrontation. Maya's growing friendship with David was based on mutual respect for academic achievement and shared understanding of what it meant to be targeted by the school's dominant social groups. Their partnership in chemistry class provided opportunities for communication and mutual support that would prove valuable as Maya's situation with Brandon's group continued to develop. The American history class that Maya attended later that morning included a discussion of civil rights movements and resistance to oppression that resonated strongly with her personal experience of fighting for her life against cancer and her current struggle to maintain her privacy and dignity against social pressure. Her contributions to the class discussion revealed insights about courage and resistance that impressed both Mr. Thompson and her classmates. Maya's comments about the psychological aspects of resistance movements and the importance of maintaining hope during long struggles against overwhelming odds reflected wisdom that seemed unusual for someone her age. Her understanding of how people find strength to continue fighting when victory seems impossible was clearly based on personal experience, though she continued to avoid revealing the specific circumstances that had taught her these lessons. The positive response from teachers and classmates to Maya's intellectual contributions provided some balance to the negative attention she was receiving from Brandon's group, creating a support network of students and adults who valued her presence at Lincoln Valley High School. This academic reputation would prove important in the conflicts ahead, as her established credibility would make it difficult for her opponents to discredit her or portray her as a troublemaker. The lunch period that day brought Maya's second direct confrontation with Brandon's group, occurring in the cafeteria where their interaction would be witnessed by dozens of other students. The public nature of the encounter changed the dynamics significantly, as both Maya and her opponents had to consider how their behavior would be perceived by potential allies and enemies among their classmates. Brandon's approach was more aggressive than during their previous encounter, reflecting his frustration with Maya's successful resistance to their initial pressure campaign. His questions became more invasive, and his tone more threatening, designed to provoke a response that would justify escalation to more serious harassment or create an opportunity to humiliate Maya in front of the watching students. Ashley's role in the confrontation involved deliberate attempts to undermine Maya's appearance and social standing through comments designed to make her feel self-conscious and isolated. Her focus on Maya's hair and clothing was intended to plant seeds of doubt about her acceptability, while demonstrating Ashley's own authority to determine social standards and enforce conformity. Ryan's contribution involved false offers of protection and inclusion that were designed to make Maya appear desperate for acceptance, while establishing his own power to grant or withhold social benefits. His strategy relied on creating a narrative where Maya needed his intervention to avoid further harassment, placing him in a position of dominance that would require her submission and gratitude. Maya's response to the public confrontation required careful calibration to maintain her dignity and safety, while avoiding escalation that could result in more serious consequences. Her training in conflict management proved valuable as she deflected their attacks without providing ammunition for further harassment or appearing weak to the watching students. The intervention that ended the confrontation came from an unexpected source when Jessica Torres approached the group and redirected the conversation toward academic matters that required Maya's attention. Jessica's courage in challenging Brandon's group publicly demonstrated the kind of loyalty and friendship that Maya had hoped to find at Lincoln Valley High School, while also revealing the risks that association with Maya might create for other students. The aftermath of the public confrontation established new parameters for Maya's conflict with Brandon's group, as their failure to intimidate her in front of witnesses damaged their reputation for invincibility, while making it clear that future encounters would need to be more carefully planned and executed. Maya understood that she had won a tactical victory that might actually increase her long-term danger by forcing her opponents to escalate their tactics. Maya's growing network of academic allies and genuine friends provided some protection against harassment, while creating new vulnerabilities that her opponents might exploit. The students who supported her could become targets themselves, potentially multiplying the conflicts she would need to manage while limiting her options for response. The teachers who had begun to notice Maya's exceptional academic performance and maturity were also becoming aware of the social tensions surrounding her, creating opportunities for adult intervention that could be helpful or problematic, depending on how situations developed. Maya's challenge was to manage these relationships in ways that provided protection without appearing to be seeking special treatment or creating additional reasons for resentment. Maya's afternoon classes proceeded normally despite the tension created by the lunchtime confrontation. with her academic performance remaining consistently excellent even under increased social pressure. Her ability to compartmentalize stress and maintain focus on important priorities was a skill developed during medical treatment that served her well in the complex environment of high school social dynamics. The advanced placement chemistry class that concluded Maya's day included a laboratory exercise that required precise timing and careful attention to safety protocols. Maya's partnership with David Kim allowed them to complete their work efficiently, while discussing strategies for handling the increased attention both of them were receiving from students who viewed their academic success as threatening to the established social order. David's advice about managing harassment was based on his own successful survival strategies, emphasizing the importance of documentation, witness cultivation, and alliance building that could provide protection against escalating campaigns. His experience with the administration's response to previous incidents provided valuable intelligence about which approaches were most likely to result in effective intervention versus bureaucratic obstacles that could make situations worse. Maya's decision to confide in David about her medical background was carefully considered and strategically motivated, as his demonstrated loyalty and discretion made him a valuable ally who could provide support without creating additional vulnerabilities. Her revelation about her cancer survival and the reasons for her privacy concerns helped David understand the stakes involved in protecting her from harassment while maintaining her carefully constructed normal appearance. David's response to learning about Maya's medical history was characterized by respect and admiration rather than pity or awkwardness, confirming her judgment about his character and reliability. His questions about her treatment and recovery were motivated by genuine interest in understanding her experience rather than curiosity about medical details, demonstrating the kind of maturity that made their friendship valuable and sustainable. The alliance between Maya and David created a foundation for broader resistance to Brandon's harassment campaign, as their combined academic achievements and growing network of supporters made them more difficult targets than either would be individually. Their partnership also provided opportunities for mutual protection and support that would prove essential as conflicts escalated. Maya's training session that evening at Master Rodriguez's studio focused on scenario-based exercises that prepared her for the kinds of situations she might face if Brandon's group escalated from psychological harassment to physical intimidation or assault. The techniques she practiced were designed for defensive use in environments where excessive force would create legal and social problems that could be worse than the original threats. Master Rodriguez's guidance about the legal and ethical aspects of self-defense was particularly important for someone in Maya's situation, where any use of force would be scrutinized by school administrators, law enforcement, and the community. His emphasis on proportional response and de-escalation techniques was designed to prepare Maya for scenarios where defensive action was necessary, but had to be carefully controlled to avoid creating new problems. Maya's discussion of her school situation with Master Rodriguez provided her with perspective from someone who understood both the capabilities she had developed and the challenges she faced in a social environment where those capabilities needed to remain hidden. His advice about when and how to reveal her training was strategic and practical, designed to maximize her safety while minimizing unnecessary complications. The weapons training that Master Rodriguez included in Maya's curriculum was focused on improvised defensive tools that might be available in school environments rather than traditional martial arts weapons that would be illegal to possess on campus. His instruction emphasized awareness of environmental resources and creative problem-solving that could provide advantages in emergency situations. Maya's growing confidence in her ability to protect herself was balanced by her understanding that the best victories were those achieved without violence or confrontation. Her training provided options for response to various threat levels, but her preference remained for solutions that avoided physical conflict while maintaining her safety and dignity. The weekend following Maya's second confrontation with Brandon's group brought new developments as word of the incidents spread throughout Lincoln Valley High School's social networks. The polarization of student opinion about Maya and her conflicts created opportunities for alliance building while also intensifying the pressure for resolution through either submission or escalation. Maya's supporters among the academically focused students began organizing informal networks for mutual protection and support, recognizing that Brandon's harassment campaigns typically targeted multiple students and that collective resistance might be more effective than individual defensive efforts. Their discussions included practical measures for documentation, communication, and intervention that could help protect vulnerable students while building evidence for administrative action if necessary. The opposition that crystallized around Brandon's group included students whose social status depended on maintaining the existing hierarchy, and who viewed Maya's resistance as a threat to the established order. Their support for Brandon's campaign was motivated partly by loyalty to their social circle, and partly by fear that successful resistance might encourage other targeted students to fight back against harassment. Maya's family discussion that weekend focused on the escalating situation at school and the options available for managing conflicts that seemed likely to continue regardless of her preferences. Her parents' concern about her safety was balanced by their respect for her judgment and her demonstrated ability to handle difficult situations effectively. Dr. Susan Chen's professional perspective on the psychological dynamics of teenage harassment provided Maya with insights into the motivations and vulnerabilities of her opponents that could be useful for developing effective response strategies. Her understanding of group psychology and social manipulation helped Maya recognize patterns and predict likely developments in ways that improved her strategic planning. Dr. James Chen's systematic approach to problem analysis resulted in detailed contingency plans for various scenarios that might develop at school, including communication protocols, documentation procedures, and intervention strategies that could be implemented quickly if situations became dangerous. His engineering mindset brought organizational clarity to complex social dynamics that might otherwise be overwhelming. Maya's appreciation for her parents' support was deepened by their willingness to trust her judgment while providing resources and guidance that enhanced her ability to protect herself. Their balance between involvement and independence reflected their understanding of her maturity and capabilities, while acknowledging the serious nature of the threats she faced. The training intensification that Maya undertook during the weekend was designed to prepare her for the possibility that conflicts might escalate beyond verbal harassment to physical intimidation or assault. Her focus on techniques that could be used defensively in crowded environments reflected her understanding that any confrontation at school would likely occur in front of witnesses whose perceptions could significantly impact the consequences of her actions. Maya's mental preparation for potential conflicts included visualization exercises that helped her rehearse appropriate responses to various scenarios, while maintaining the emotional regulation that would be essential for making good decisions under pressure. Her experience with managing fear and stress during medical treatment provided a foundation for these skills. But the social complexities of teenage conflict required additional preparation. The meditation and reflection practices that concluded Maya's weekend preparation helped her maintain perspective on the conflicts at school, while reinforcing her commitment to the values and goals that had sustained her through cancer treatment. Her determination to complete her senior year successfully and pursue her educational objectives remained stronger than her concerns about social harassment, providing motivation for whatever efforts might be required to protect her position. Maya's return to Lincoln Valley High School the following Monday was marked by increased tension and awareness that conflicts with Brandon's group were entering a new phase that would likely require more decisive action from all parties involved. Her strategy remained focused on maintaining her academic excellence and social relationships, while staying prepared for whatever escalation might occur. The biology class that began Maya's week included a group project assignment that would require extended collaboration among students who might have conflicting loyalties and agendas. Maya's partnership assignments placed her in a group that included both supporters and potential opponents, creating opportunities for alliance building while also exposing her to increased scrutiny and possible sabotage. Maya's leadership role in the biology project emerged naturally from her superior preparation and understanding of the subject matter. But it also made her more visible to students who might report her activities to Brandon's group or attempt to undermine her contributions. Her strategy involved sharing knowledge and responsibilities in ways that built trust and cooperation while protecting critical aspects of the project from interference. The collaborative dynamics of the biology project provided Maya with opportunities to demonstrate her character and capabilities to classmates who had previously known her only by reputation. Her patience with struggling students and her willingness to share credit for successes impressed group members while building support networks that would prove valuable in future conflicts. Maya's growing reputation as a student leader and academic resource was creating new challenges as more classmates sought her assistance, while also making her a more prominent target for harassment. Her success in balancing these competing demands required careful time management and strategic thinking about which relationships to prioritize and how to maintain her privacy while building necessary alliances. The American history class that Maya attended later that morning included a simulation exercise about resistance movements that required students to role-play scenarios involving oppression and organized resistance. Maya's assignment to lead the resistance group was based on her demonstrated knowledge and leadership capabilities, but it also placed her in a symbolically significant position that would not be lost on her opponents. Maya's performance in the history simulation demonstrated strategic thinking and leadership abilities that impressed both Mr. Thompson and her classmates, while also revealing capabilities that might concern students who preferred to see her as a non-threatening academic competitor. Her success in organizing effective resistance within the simulation provided practical experience that might prove relevant for her real-world conflicts. The moment that would change everything at Lincoln Valley High School arrived on a crisp November morning when Maya entered the school building to find her locker vandalized with cruel messages about cancer patients and suggestions that she didn't belong among healthy students. The words were scrawled in permanent marker across the metal surface, designed to humiliate her while revealing that someone had discovered her medical history and chosen to weaponize it against her. Maya's initial shock at seeing her private struggle made public was quickly replaced by cold analytical assessment of the situation and its implications. The vandalism represented a significant escalation in harassment that crossed legal boundaries, while demonstrating that her opponents had been conducting surveillance and investigation into her background. The timing and location of the attack suggested careful planning and coordination that indicated this was only the beginning of a more serious campaign. The gathered crowd of students who had arrived early enough to witness Maya's discovery of the vandalism included both supporters and enemies, their reactions providing valuable intelligence about allegiances and likely future developments. Some students appeared genuinely shocked and sympathetic, while others seemed pleased or excited by the dramatic escalation of conflict that promised more entertaining developments. Maya's response to the vandalism was calm and controlled, disappointing those who had hoped to witness her breakdown or emotional collapse. Her training in managing crisis situations during medical treatment had prepared her for psychological attacks that attempted to use her cancer history against her, while her martial arts education had taught her to remain composed under pressure that might provoke less disciplined individuals into poor decisions. The administrative response to the vandalism was swift, but ultimately inadequate, with school officials focused more on removing the offensive messages and restoring order than on identifying and punishing the perpetrators or addressing the underlying harassment campaign. Principal Martinez's meeting with Maya emphasized the school's commitment to maintaining a safe environment while making it clear that proving responsibility for anonymous vandalism would be extremely difficult. Maya's decision to handle the vandalism incident through official channels was strategic rather than optimistic, as she understood that documentation and proper procedures would be important if situations escalated to legal action or criminal charges. Her cooperation with the administration's investigation demonstrated good faith while creating a paper trail that would support her position if more serious interventions became necessary. The response from Maya's support network was immediate and overwhelming, with friends and allies rallying to express outrage at the vandalism while offering assistance and protection against future attacks. Jessica Torres organized a group of students to escort Maya between classes, while David Kim began documenting incidents and gathering evidence that could be used to identify patterns and perpetrators. Brandon Walsh's reaction to the vandalism incident was carefully neutral in public settings, but his private communications with his inner circle revealed satisfaction with the psychological impact while maintaining plausible deniability about his involvement. His strategy involved escalating pressure through anonymous attacks that would be difficult to trace, while positioning himself as uninvolved in any criminal activity. Ashley Morrison's role in spreading information about Maya's cancer history became apparent through social media posts and conversations that revealed detailed knowledge about her medical treatment and family situation. Her violation of Maya's privacy was designed to undermine the carefully constructed normal image that Maya had worked to maintain while making her more vulnerable to targeted harassment. Ryan Foster's contribution to the campaign involved using his family's social connections to spread rumors and negative information about Maya throughout the broader community, potentially affecting her family's professional relationships and social standing. His tactics were sophisticated and far-reaching, designed to create consequences that extended beyond the school environment. The psychological warfare that followed the vandalism incident was intense and multifaceted, with Maya facing constant scrutiny and commentary about her appearance, health status, and right to participate in normal teenage activities. The attacks were designed to wear down her emotional defenses and force her into defensive postures that would make her appear weak or desperate for sympathy. Maya's response strategy involved selective engagement that addressed the most serious threats, while ignoring minor provocations that were designed to waste her energy and create opportunities for escalation. Her experience with managing stress during chemotherapy had taught her to conserve her emotional and physical resources for battles that truly mattered, while avoiding exhaustion through constant conflict. The support Maya received from unexpected sources surprised even her closest allies, as students who had previously remained neutral began to speak out against the harassment campaign and offer assistance in various forms. The solidarity that emerged among diverse groups of students who shared only their opposition to bullying created a coalition that was stronger than the sum of its individual parts. Master Rodriguez's response to Maya's account of the escalating harassment was professional and practical, focusing on advanced defensive techniques that might be necessary if psychological warfare escalated to physical assault. His training intensified to include scenario-based exercises that prepared Maya for multiple attackers and confined spaces where traditional martial arts techniques might need modification. Maya's parents' consultation with legal counsel resulted in documentation procedures and communication protocols that would preserve evidence while protecting Maya's rights if criminal charges or civil litigation became necessary. Their decision to involve professional legal advice demonstrated the seriousness of the threats while providing Maya with additional resources and protection. The breaking point arrived on a rainy afternoon in late November when Maya was leaving the school library after completing research for a college scholarship application. The timing was deliberate, as the building was mostly empty except for students involved in extracurricular activities, providing opportunities for confrontation without immediate adult supervision or peer intervention. Brandon Walsh intercepted Maya in the main hallway near the trophy cases, his position blocking her direct path to the exit while maintaining enough distance to appear non-threatening to any casual observers. His opening comments were superficially polite, but carried undertones of menace that made his true intentions clear to anyone familiar with his harassment patterns. Ashley Morrison and Ryan Foster appeared within moments, their coordination indicating careful planning and surveillance of Maya's daily routines. Their formation created a barrier that forced Maya to engage with them, while preventing easy escape routes that might allow her to avoid confrontation entirely. The conversation began with false expressions of concern about Maya's health and well-being, designed to force her to discuss her medical history, while establishing their knowledge of private information that should not have been accessible to them. Their questions were invasive and inappropriate, clearly intended to cause emotional distress while maintaining superficial appearance of friendly interest. Maya's responses were calm and minimal, providing no useful information while demonstrating that she would not be manipulated into revealing additional personal details or responding emotionally to their provocations. Her training in conflict de-escalation was evident in her posture and tone, though the underlying tension suggested that she was prepared for more serious developments. The escalation began when Ashley made deliberate comments about Maya's wig, suggesting that her artificial hair was obvious to everyone and that her attempts to appear normal were fooling no one. The attack was designed to undermine Maya's confidence in her appearance while focusing attention on the medical reasons for her hair loss. Brandon's contribution involved physical intimidation through invasion of personal space and gestures that simulated violence without technically constituting assault. His wrestler's understanding of body language and psychological pressure was evident in his careful calibration of threatening behavior that remained within legal boundaries while creating genuine fear and discomfort. Ryan's role involved documenting the confrontation through discreet recording that could be edited and distributed to maximize Maya's humiliation while minimizing evidence of the group's coordinated harassment. His positioning and equipment suggested experience with creating compromising videos that could be used for further intimidation or social destruction. Maya's recognition that the situation was escalating beyond verbal harassment to potential physical assault triggered heightened awareness and preparation for defensive action. Her training had taught her to identify the moment when de-escalation becomes impossible and when defensive measures become necessary for personal safety. The critical moment arrived when Ashley reached for Maya's wig with obvious intent to remove it forcibly, crossing the line from verbal harassment to physical assault while creating a situation that would require immediate defensive response. The attack was designed to cause maximum humiliation while providing dramatic content for social media distribution. Maya's defensive reaction was instantaneous and precisely controlled, using techniques that neutralized Ashley's attack while minimizing the risk of serious injury to her attacker. Her training in defensive applications allowed her to stop the assault without appearing to be the aggressor, though the effectiveness of her response surprised everyone present. Brandon's attempt to intervene on Ashley's behalf resulted in his first direct experience with Maya's martial arts capabilities, as his aggressive approach was met with defensive techniques that left him on the hallway floor without clear understanding of how he had been defeated. His wrestling experience provided no preparation for the precision and speed of Maya's defensive actions. Ryan's continued recording of the confrontation captured every moment of his friend's humiliation, while documenting Maya's remarkable defensive skills and the coordinated nature of their attack. The video that he intended to use against Maya instead became evidence of their harassment campaign and her justified defensive response. The aftermath of the physical confrontation was swift and dramatic, with other students drawn by the noise discovering Brandon and Ashley on the floor while Maya stood calmly beside them, her wig slightly askew but otherwise undamaged. The visual evidence of the encounter's outcome was unmistakable, though many witnesses struggled to understand how the quiet cancer survivor had defeated two larger attackers. Maya's immediate priority was ensuring that her attackers were not seriously injured, demonstrating the restraint and concern for others that characterized her approach to conflict resolution. Her medical knowledge allowed her to assess their condition, while her martial arts training had enabled her to neutralize threats without causing lasting harm. The arrival of school administrators and security personnel created a complex situation where multiple narratives competed for acceptance, with Maya's supporters providing witness testimony while Brandon's allies attempted to portray her as the aggressor. The physical evidence and video documentation, however, clearly supported Maya's account of defensive action against coordinated assault. Principal Martinez's handling of the incident was complicated by the legal implications of the assault and the public nature of the confrontation, which had already begun spreading through social media channels that reached beyond the school community. The documentation of harassment that Maya's allies had been gathering provided crucial context for understanding the incident as part of a larger pattern of intimidation. Maya's interview with administrators and law enforcement was conducted with her parents and legal counsel present, ensuring that her rights were protected while her account of events was properly documented. Her calm and detailed recounting of the harassment campaign and the specific incidents leading to the confrontation provided a clear narrative that was supported by extensive evidence. The criminal charges filed against Brandon, Ashley, and Ryan reflected the serious nature of their coordinated harassment campaign and assault, with potential consequences that extended far beyond school disciplinary measures. Their privileged backgrounds and family connections were insufficient to protect them from legal accountability for documented criminal behavior. Maya's decision to pursue civil litigation against her attackers and their families was motivated by her desire to establish clear consequences for harassment of cancer survivors and other vulnerable students. The financial settlements that resulted provided resources for anti-bullying programs while sending a message about the costs of systematic intimidation campaigns. The transformation in Maya's social status at Lincoln Valley High School was immediate and dramatic, with her defensive capabilities earning respect from students who had previously viewed her as weak or vulnerable. Her reputation as someone who could not be intimidated or bullied safely spread quickly through school social networks, effectively ending harassment campaigns against her and her allies. The broader impact of Maya's story extended beyond Lincoln Valley High School to influence policies and attitudes about cancer survivors in educational settings throughout the region. Her example of courage and effective self-defense inspired other students facing similar challenges, while educating communities about the strength and resilience of people who had survived serious medical crises. Maya's academic achievements continued to excel throughout her senior year, with her college applications reflecting not only intellectual capability but also the character and resilience demonstrated through her successful resistance to harassment. The scholarship opportunities that resulted from her story provided financial support for her education while recognizing her contributions to anti-bullying advocacy. The graduation ceremony that concluded Maya's high school experience included recognition for her courage and leadership in promoting respect and inclusion for all students. Her valedictorian speech focused on the importance of standing up for principles and protecting vulnerable community members, themes that resonated with audiences far beyond the school community. Maya's college career began with established reputation as an advocate for cancer survivors and a leader in anti-bullying initiatives, providing platforms for continuing her work while pursuing advanced education in medical research. Her experience with harassment and successful resistance became the foundation for lifelong commitment to protecting others facing similar challenges. The martial arts training that had enabled Maya's successful self-defense evolved into teaching opportunities, where she shared her skills with other cancer survivors and vulnerable individuals. Master Rodriguez's studio became a training center for people who needed defensive capabilities while dealing with medical challenges or social discrimination. Brandon Walsh's community service requirement included work with cancer support organizations, providing him with education about the experiences and challenges faced by survivors while contributing to his personal growth and understanding. His eventual apology to Maya was genuine and reflected significant changes in his character and values. Ashley Morrison's therapy and counseling sessions helped her address the insecurities and competitive drives that had motivated her participation in harassment campaigns. Her subsequent advocacy for mental health resources and anti-bullying programs represented genuine commitment to making amends for her previous behavior. Ryan Foster's legal consequences included restitution payments and community service that provided him with perspective on the impact of his actions while contributing to programs that supported harassment victims. His family's social standing was permanently affected by his criminal charges and the public documentation of his behavior. The documentary film that chronicled Maya's story became an educational resource used in schools throughout the country to teach students about cancer survivors, bullying prevention, and the importance of standing up for personal principles. The balanced presentation of all perspectives helped viewers understand the complex factors that contributed to harassment while inspiring resistance to intimidation. Maya's wedding to David Kim 5 years after graduation brought together the community of friends and allies who had supported her through high school challenges. Their relationship, built on mutual respect and shared values, represented the positive outcomes that could emerge from standing together against harassment and discrimination. The cancer research laboratory that Maya established during her medical career was named in honor of all students who had faced discrimination because of medical conditions. Her work contributed to improved treatments, while her advocacy efforts created better support systems for young people dealing with serious health challenges. The annual awards ceremony at Lincoln Valley High School that recognizes students who demonstrate courage in defending others was established in Maya's honor, celebrating the principle that true strength comes from protecting vulnerable community members rather than intimidating them. Recipients of the award continue her legacy of principled resistance to harassment and discrimination. The children's book that Maya wrote about her high school experience became a popular resource for helping young cancer patients understand that their medical challenges did not define their capabilities or limit their potential for achievement. The book's message about inner strength and the importance of supportive communities resonated with families facing similar challenges. Maya's training program for law enforcement officers about interacting with cancer survivors and other medically vulnerable individuals became a model for police departments throughout the region. Her expertise in both medical challenges and defensive techniques provided unique perspectives that improved community safety and understanding. The scholarship fund established in Maya's name provided financial support for cancer survivors pursuing higher education while funding research into the social and psychological challenges faced by young people dealing with serious medical conditions. The program's success attracted national attention and support from medical professionals and advocacy organizations. The reunions of Maya's graduating class consistently featured recognition of the positive changes that had occurred at Lincoln Valley High School following her successful resistance to harassment. The culture of respect and inclusion that emerged from her example continued to influence school policies and student behavior long after her graduation. The bronze plaque installed in Lincoln Valley High School's main entrance hall commemorates Maya's courage, while reminding students and staff that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity regardless of their medical history or physical appearance. The inscription includes her words about the importance of fighting for what is right, even when the odds seem overwhelming. Maya's story became a symbol of hope for cancer survivors and other individuals facing discrimination, demonstrating that personal challenges could become sources of strength rather than vulnerability. Her example continues to inspire people facing their own battles against illness, harassment, and social barriers that attempt to limit their potential for achievement and happiness. The legacy of Maya's high school experience extends far beyond her individual success to influence policies, attitudes, and support systems that protect vulnerable students, while teaching communities about the remarkable strength and resilience of people who have survived serious medical challenges. Her demonstration that cancer survivors are warriors rather than victims continues to change lives and save futures throughout the world. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.